This is Thumbing Through the Archives, a weekly radio show and podcast focusing on Michigan history, airing every Wednesday night from 5:30 to 7 p.m. on WMIC 660 AM and 95.3 FM. Also streaming in podcast form at our website, senlacbroadcasting.com. Now your hosts Mike Gallagher, Nick Lean, and Erica Frisbee.
All right, and we are back once again with another episode of Thumbing Through the Archives, a podcast exploring the oddities, curiosities, and crimes of Michigan's history. I'm Erica Frisbee. I am the news director here at Sand Lake Broadcasting. With me today, per usual,
I'm Nick Lean. I'm the assistant manager at Sand Lake Broadcasting.
And I'm Mike Gallagher, the sports editor of the Sand Lake County News. And we're back.
We're back. It's been a while.
Yeah.
We took summer vacation.
Kind of.
Inadvertently.
Yeah.
We just got really busy. I feel a little bit bad because we literally fixed up your mic a bit, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
And then we
haven't recorded since. Yeah. Well, that's all right.
Was it the last episode or the episode before that we did the great show of pounding on the table?
Two episodes ago.
Should we do that test once more?
It's still there, but it's not quite as bad.
Work in progress as always. Thank you for bearing with us. Today,
Well, I just want to catch the listeners up on what I've been doing lately. I've been to at least a half dozen parades over the past 2 months, which is why I haven't been able to record. Big parade guy, big Sand Lake County festivals. So it's been a pretty good summer. And
Very
I know
busy summer.
You joined me at the Port Sand Lake Parade and the Croswell Parade.
Yes, I did.
They're both riveting.
What was the best parade so far this year? Are you allowed to say?
I can tell you what the worst one was.
Okay.
No, I probably shouldn't.
Okay.
I was going to say, that's rude. That's rude.
I won't say what the worst one was. I'm always pretty partial to the Snover Cruise, which is different from the Snover Parade. I didn't go to the Snover Parade. I went to the Snover Cruise, which is technically a parade.
I know you like your Snover events.
Yeah, I went to Snover Days twice this summer. Went there Friday night and then went back Saturday night.
I've never been. I should go.
You should.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, and that's what I've been up to.
And that's what I did on my summer vacation.
Yeah, and I got the Deckerville Parade this weekend, so I'm not even done yet.
Meanwhile, Nick and I in the news section over here just like half alive.
Yeah.
You guys should get out to more parades. Might make you feel better.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
It just also, there's a lot of stuff going on in the county. And thankfully, this was kind of a nice break from all that.
True.
The research, I mean.
Yeah.
I haven't really been actually able to do much research, though, lately. Just, yeah.
Well, we had never rerun the John Norman Collins series on terrestrial radio.
That's
I don't
true.
think. So it was an opportunity for people who didn't get a chance to listen to that to get caught up on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But we do have some ideas in the works. We've got some topics that we're going to try and get into. It's just the work of writing the script that I'm scared of. I've been doing the research. I just haven't been able to
Sit down and pound it out.
Yeah.
However, now that Mike and I live together, we should be able to hold each other accountable during script writing, correct?
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
I did it last night.
I know. Well, you kind of did. It was very jarring just to like glance up at you and be told, "Don't look at me, keep writing."
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to be a distraction, so I just kept sneaking through the living room.
Yeah. If anything, the cats were the bigger distraction.
Mm-hmm.
There's no cats in this story, unfortunately.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm out.
But there is...
Yeah, let's take another break.
Bruh.
Come back with a script with cats in it.
Well, in the place of cats, I have some crazy... Well, a crazy name. To the point where it's like I need to try and find the note that has...
All right, we're back in.
all the crazy
You know,
spellings.
when we get merch, which that's something we don't have to get into it now, but I do have a good lead on that. But when we get merch, we should have a t-shirt that on the back has like each crazy name, just like listed down the back with like the date that it aired or whatever.
Yes.
This girl could have, you know, those t-shirts that sometimes jokingly like have like a list and like everything's crossed out except for the last one. And it's like because of misspellings or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
This name would be perfect on that shirt
Okay.
because there's just so many alternate spellings.
There's a lot of buildup.
And just over a name. In this week's episode...
Wait,
What?
what about the name?
Yeah, right. Is it, we're going to get to it?
We're going to get to it.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought you were going to say it.
No.
I did too.
Dang it. All right.
Have I ever like revealed it off the bat to you without giving you context first?
No.
Like further context?
But you also have never teased it that much.
Yeah.
It's a really crazy name.
Okay. Boomhauer was that guy's name?
Boomy.
I do like that name, but this is like not on that level of coolness, just level of weirdness.
Okay.
Did she also have a very important job? Because that also plays into it, I think.
Her job history is interesting.
Okay.
But
I'll take that.
we'll get into it.
Okay.
In this week's episode, we aren't in Michigan. We are out of state on a technicality as we follow the odd tale of one former Peck resident. This week, we're trekking out to Montana as we discuss the curious case of Ira Armstrong Presley, who tried to strike his fortune in that western state over 100 years ago. Ira Armstrong Presley, to put it simply, was one of several children. When a profile on his father Lewis was published in 1883's History of St. Clair County, Ira was listed incorrectly. He was called Ivy instead of Ira, but he was listed incorrectly among 9 other siblings. And when his mother Catherine passed in 1913, her obituary stated that she had had 14 children in total.
Wow.
With Ira firmly being a middle child at number 7.
How did you determine that it was a misspelling? Like, how did you know that it was the right guy?
I compared all the birth years to which children would have been alive.
Okay.
And it does not help that Ira had a sister named Ida.
Yeah.
So they got Ida's name correctly.
Okay.
I don't know if like maybe it was just a misprint by the book. Like if the writer's original handwriting looked more like a V and a Y than an R and an A.
Okay.
But either way, he went in as Ivy instead of Ira, while his sister Ida had hers correct. I think it may have just been like a mistranslation from notes to type.
Right.
But it's also very weird. For instance, when I was doing research on Lewis, Ira's dad, I clearly found him in the census with his family, his wife, and his first 4 kids. He was listed as Louise with an E at the end, Lewis with an E at the end.
Okay.
And like, at first you're like, okay, maybe it's just a misspelling. They marked him down as female too.
Oh.
So I don't know what the census taker was on that day or if his glasses were broke, but like some of the documents that we have to pull genealogy from can be faulty just because human error is always a thing.
Right. It's not like you can go back and correct it.
No.
Or confirm it elsewhere or anything.
Yeah, this case was very interesting to research just because this is one of the earliest cases we've covered. It's not the earliest case because that's the Havilands in 1866. But Lewis was born in 1831. So we're trying to find censuses from back around that time to confirm
Right.
where people are. And before 1850, they didn't actually put down people's names. They just put down the dad's name and then tallies.
Right. So you found him in the St. Clair history book. Did it say where he was from in St. Clair?
So Ira's father, Lewis, had earned himself a profile in the history of St. Clair County despite being born in New York and transplanting to Canada from ages 8 to 22. When Lewis Presley touched down in St. Clair County, it was about 1853, and he had been married to his wife Catherine for 2 years and a father to 1 son for 1 year. With a young family to support, Lewis threw himself into what he knew, farming, and bought an 80-acre farm in Brockway Township. He operated that for 1 year before selling it and buying another 80-acre farm in Kanoke Township. He cultivated that one for about 10 years before settling into another 80-acre farm in Lynn Township, which he ran as a livestock farm.
I wonder what was wrong with the first 80 acres that he sold it immediately.
I don't know if anything was wrong with it or if it was like a, you know how people will now buy houses and flip them?
Yeah, maybe that's all he was doing.
That was what confused me a little bit with the profile in the St. Clair County history book was the fact that like in the note about the livestock farm, they also are like, and 70 of the 80 acres are under cultivation. And it's like, well, what does that mean?
Right.
And my theory is it's basically like he beefed up the first farm, sold it off to somebody else.
Okay.
Worked to build up his name and beef up the second farm.
Yeah.
And then
You got it like all tillable and ready to farm. And
Well, I think like in the 1850s, that would have been before the Great Fires.
yes.
So maybe the 80 acres was all trees and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe he had to clear all that out
Right.
to make it farmland.
Right.
Okay.
Like, it could have been a myriad of things, because when he did touch down, like, it wasn't directly after the founding of the county, but it was darn close.
Right.
God, that would be a lot of work.
It would be. And honestly, like, if it was covered in trees like we surmise, he probably was able to sell the lumber and thus make a bunch of money and be able to sell the farm off in 1 year.
Right.
Yeah.
To my understanding, the Presleys weren't necessarily like a wealthy, like they weren't a rich family like the Lords were,
Right.
but they did well for themselves. They could afford the 14 kids.
Right. And they did important work.
Yes. What cracked me up was the fact that every time he would get a new farm, it was just consistently 80 acres. Like, I don't know if that was just, is that the going size for a farm in this area, or...
They're usually bigger, like if you're doing fields and stuff.
Listeners, if anybody has any insight, please let us know. We actually do have a social media page, Facebook, Thumbing Through the Archives.
Like and subscribe.
Anyways, in addition to running all those farms, he also ran a hotel for at least 3 years in Lynn Township. He served as a constable and pathmaster. I don't know what a pathmaster is, and I didn't have time to look it up.
This is Lewis we're talking about, right?
This is Lewis.
That sounds like a guy that like led people through the woods.
I was going to say that was my guess, / the guy who literally laid down.
Right, playing them out.
Right.
Yeah.
And he also assisted in organizing a school while he was living in Kanoki Township.
That's awesome. I love when you're doing research of these old time people and they just have 6 or 7 jobs, but they're also like 6 or 7 of the most important jobs in the area.
Right.
Like, I was reading about Uri Raymond from Port Sanilac, because the Raymond House is for sale in Port Sanilac.
That would be a good episode.
Which is, he built that.
Right.
And like, he also built Raymond Hardware. He was also the first school teacher. He was the town historian. Like,
I was going to say, he was like a township clerk, too.
Like, I know there wasn't much to do back then, but...
Well, no, if anything, it seems that there was plenty to do back then.
Well,
there just wasn't enough people to do it.
I guess.
We had that problem here. Needless to say, Ira and his siblings had quite the example to live up to.
Yeah, definitely.
You know how, like, kids usually want to be what their parents are when they grow up? With how many different jobs Lewis had, his kids had the pick of the litter. You can be a constable, you can be a pathmaster, you can be a school organizer, you can be a farmer.
A pathmaster sounds like a D&D.
I'm pretty sure
person.
it's a D&D subclass.
Right.
If it's not, somebody should homebrew that.
It's pretty cool sounding, actually.
It really
like,
is cool sounding.
After your name, like, you could put like notary or assessor. You could have pathmaster.
Lewis Presley, pathmaster.
That's awesome.
So a pathmaster is one whose job is to care for and maintain public paths and roads.
Oh.
He was the first DNR officer.
Yeah,
So,
or
I
like
mean-
road commission.
Yeah.
Especially at that time, like
I was going to say, yeah, especially
Tree
at that
fells.
time.
roads were first being built around here. Like,
Yeah, Lewis had a really important job then.
yeah.
I'm thinking he was a very hard worker if he's like clearing 80 acres.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
keeping paths maintained.
If anything, they probably saw that he cleared the 80 acres and was like, do we have a job for you?
Yeah, maybe he had some, special equipment or something that like
He
not
constructed
everyone
the
had.
first wood chipper.
Yeah, something, or like the horse-drawn plow or whatever.
Tilling plow.
Yes, thank you.
And then one day, despite having both of those important jobs, he still thought, I should open a school.
And then
I should be a teacher.
I'll move on to a hotel, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Ira was also named for both his paternal and maternal grandfather. They both were named Ira, which is both kind of fun. Although Ira's maternal grandfather, I think it was like an Irish or Scottish or Gaelic variant on Ira, because it was A-R-R-A.
Okay.
Ira?
Possibly.
Possibly. Caitlin would know.
Again, very cool name. Honestly, D&D character-esque.
Yeah.
Those guys also did a lot of important stuff in their own time and places. And so the need to set up a legacy, or at least prove his ability to strike it out on his own, seemed impressed on Ira at a very young age. Add to that by the time that Ira was 18, he had already experienced the deaths of 3 of his siblings, 2 of which was kind of crazy freak timing. So his oldest brother, Richard, was reported sick in Saginaw with a fever. His parents rushed up to be with him, and then as they got there, they basically got news that their youngest daughter at the time, Minnie, had also passed.
Oof.
And where was she at?
At home.
Oh, man. And it probably took them a week to get to Saginaw to even...
Right. It took them a while to get up there, and then you have to handle everything up there, and then you have to get back and handle everything back there.
You know what happened to her?
I can't quite remember what happened to her. To my understanding, it was more of an accident than like an illness.
Not a sickness, yeah.
Right, because if she was sick, they probably wouldn't have left
They probably
her.
would have left somebody else. Like
Right.
the mom would have stayed or something.
Right.
Because, yeah, Richard by that time was in his 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have been completely fine just to send dad up to
Right.
check on him at that point. So needless to say, very traumatic experiences very early on. And if his response to later tragedy in his life is anything to go off of, one could assume Ira wanted to leave the tragic reminders behind, even if it meant trekking into the Western Plains. While his family relocated to Peck, Michigan in the 1890s, perhaps as a kind of retirement for the always busy Lewis, because let's be honest, I didn't check the Peck history books just because, like, I feel like when they were all getting written, it was like the 1880s. And if he came in the 1890s, he would have been a little bit too late.
The Sanilac County book was written in 1888.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he wouldn't have been in that book.
No. So there's a decent chance that Lewis, being Lewis, very much threw himself into the local civic duties of Peck. And if anything, it does sound like so, because he was a well-known citizen when things happen later on, because they refer to Lewis like, oh, it's Lewis's son who is currently having issues.
Right.
Lewis, who has been here for 25 years by this point. We love Lewis.
Yeah. So when Lewis and his family moved to Peck, Ira didn't move with him, or he did initially? He
initially moved with them. He's definitely recorded in the 1881 census as living with his family. But it seems, at least by the mid-1890s, he was headed off to the pastures and plains of Montana.
Okay. I love episodes about Peck, by the way.
He requested this. For the listeners,
how
he
much is
requested
Peck
this.
in it? Or is it just a dude from Peck? Is Peck
It's just a
actually
dude
in it?
from Peck.
Dude from Peck / there is like some cursory stuff with Peck.
It kind of comes back around slightly.
Mike knows, yet he also doesn't know this story.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was doing research for a different thing, and I came upon this story.
That's happened a few times.
Yeah. So like I kind of saw some of it, but I also didn't want to read more about it because I wanted to hear it from Erica. So I was like, here's a story that you could do. He's from Peck.
Mike, how did Peck get its name?
Oh, don't ask, don't.
Is it a whole thing?
I was going to say, you literally
I'm
activated
agonizing over it.
You activated his trap card. And when I say trap card, I do mean trap, because he has been agonizing over this.
Like recently
I've
or your
spent,
whole
Yes.
life?
I've spent
Recently, because he's been
hours of my life over the past week and a half trying
Really?
to... Yeah.
He's been trying to do an episode on the place names around Sanilac County.
Right.
Because that would be like an easy episode and like kind
Some
of
of them are
interesting.
cool.
Some of them
Applegate
are
is cool.
cool. Applegate's cool. Watertown's cool. There are some cool ones. But for Peck, there's no like confirmed story. And as I've been doing my research, there's like 3 or 4 different stories about how Peck got its name. But none of them really add up.
They're not verifiable.
Right. None of them are verifiable. Or they reference somebody that didn't exist. Or it references somebody that would have had nothing to do with the area. And then even, I think we've talked about it on the show before, but the main story is that somebody from the state of Michigan came to the Globe Hotel in Peck. And at that time it was called Elks Corners. And he said that they wanted to bring a post office to Peck and they had to change their name because there was already another Elks Corners. So there was 3 guys that were sitting at the Globe Hotel, and Peck is a unit of measurement, which isn't used anymore.
Right.
But the first guy said, oh, Peck's not as big as a quart or whatever. And then the second guy said it's not as big as a ounce. And then the third guy said, well, it's bigger than a peck.
Of pickles. right? That's the unit. Is that what like
I don't
like a
really,
peck of pickles?
Yeah,
probably, yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the main story, but I haven't even been able to verify that the Globe Hotel existed when they were named Peck. So it's just been a very frustrating endeavor.
I think you should just tell all 4 of the stories.
That's what I was saying.
That's probably what I'm going to do.
That's what I told him.
But I want to figure it out. I want to be the one that can tell
Right.
people how Peck got its name.
At least what is the most likely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Huh.
And
We can't do like an audience vote.
well, yeah, I can tell the stories, and then people can
And then
pick
that's
their favorite. Yeah.
That's what happened. That's how it got its name.
Yeah.
But even like the village, it says the story goes that it was named after George W. Peck. Well, there's multiple George W. Pecks, and neither of them really had anything to do with
Peck.
our area. Yeah.
Are they from that area?
No.
Oh,
No.
And then we took a look at the Salem County book, and there's a guy named George Pack,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Which
but not
that,
Peck.
Right. Which that one would make sense because he was a big lumber guy in
there
Lexington.
was a Pack family by Carsonville too.
Yes, that's the same family.
Same family.
Yeah. I just read this the other day because I've been stuck on this thing because I thought of that as well. Like,
I
maybe
swear,
they just spelled it wrong.
Erica did not tell me this.
I can't believe you asked me that.
No, I was just like,
It's been
thinking,
ruining
well,
my
you're
life.
from there, you should know.
It's been ruining my
Might
life.
be a nice little exposition to go off into.
Yeah.
Oh, you got him to go off into something.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about this later.
I haven't talked to Erica in like 4 days. I've just been researching, trying to figure out an answer.
Yeah, I tried talking to him last night, but every time I did, he was like, "Don't look at me, keep writing."
Just like in little office set up in a closet.
Yeah.
The map and like pieces of yarn and chain smoking and shaking and doing your research.
Well, and it's frustrating because
the gift from It's Always Sunny.
yeah. It's a little frustrating because every other town or area in Sanilac County, it's very well researched and like you can trace it back to
One thing.
Yeah.
Not Peck.
Yeah. So it's going to be an episode about how towns around here got their names.
And how Peck ruined Michael for us.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. I always think have you ever seen Willow with Warwick Davis? Ron Howard directed it from the 80s. It's like a fantasy.
I know of
Has
it.
Val Kilmer.
I've never had the pleasure of seeing it. I know of it though.
So the title character is a dwarf. In that universe, it's like Lord of the Rings type stuff. In that universe, they call them as a derogatory term Pecks, like the little dwarf people. They call them Peck. And that, as a kid, I always thought that's what Peck was named after. I always thought because it's so small, they thought it'd be.
I mean, yeah. You were more right than you knew.
Yeah. Kind of, yeah. Maybe. That's a 1 out of 4 possibility, 25%. But
It also doesn't help that they were originally Elks Corners, but then when they got a post office, they were called Peck. But they were still referred to as Elks Corners.
on paper and
People were still like, oh, that's Elks Corners.
Right.
So if anybody wants to save me, just please reach out if you have any
Help.
help me, please.
Help.
I'm spiraling.
Anyway.
So when Ira set out, the only Presley further from home might have been his brother Charles, who relocated to Oklahoma in the 1890s. However, rather than following his younger brother, Ira headed to Montana, seemingly living for a time in Minnesota as a laborer in the 1890s before being confirmed to have settled in at Missoula, now the second most populous city in Montana by 1900. Within a few years of settling, Ira had set himself up as a rancher, as well as a building contractor for the railroad companies moving into the area. Missoula, unlike other areas on the western frontier, did not experience a gold rush boom. Rather, they experienced a lumber rush, as the building of the railroads both demanded the production of lumber as well as provided a new market for lumber. So they kind of had a similar lumbering renaissance as Michigan had.
Right.
So if anything, Ira probably felt right at home.
Yeah.
Add to the fact that Missoula was picked in 1893 to host the state's first public university, and Ira was settling in a very bustling corner of the West. And with the hustle and bustle comes new people and developing new relationships, with Ira expanding both his network of friends and business associates very quickly. Also very quick was his marriage to his wife, 25-year-old, here's the fun name.
Oh, yes.
Cicerella Canavan.
Cicerella
That's a good one.
Canavan.
Cisurella.
I think that's the first time I've ever heard that name before.
Ever. Yep.
Yeah.
Also spelled Cesurilla, Ciscurella, Cecirella, and my personal favorite, Cissarrilli.
Wait, is this
Wow.
how many different spellings on record of her name?
I have more.
Oh, man.
There is the Cesurella, and then the shove it all together, Ceiscurella.
Wow. This probably made it impossible to research her.
Oh yeah, I had to go off her last name.
It's
Yeah.
because people were like, all right, and just wrote down how it
They were
sounded.
going by phonetics, it
Yep.
seems like.
Well, and we've said it before. It was a different time. People didn't really care about how to spell women's names.
It's a cool name, but
Do you want to know what?
Does she have a, like, is there like a nickname for that
call her
name?
Cece nowadays, right?
Yeah, you want to know what messed me up really bad about this name? In one of the first articles she's ever popped up in, she was identified as Celia.
Yeah, see, that would have been a lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, CC closer than you think.
Yeah.
I'm not bitter.
Canavan is a cool last name.
At one point, they called her Canavana.
Can you spell the last name?
Canavan.
Or Canna.
Yeah.
Sanva.
And that concludes this month's Spelling Bee.
It was a good name.
Yeah.
She was from Montana.
We don't know.
Well,
So we'll be getting to her. She's 25, Cicerella.
you can just call her Cece.
We're going to call her Cece. We're going to call her Cece because it's the most kindness anybody's going to show her in this darn story.
Dang.
So that marriage occurred in the fall of 1901, with the marriage registered in Idaho and the couple honeymooning in Washington before they returned to their new home near Superior, Montana. However, this was seemingly where the good luck stopped for the 38-year-old Ira. You see, Cece had a checkered past, one that she barely escaped from less than 6 months before she married Ira. Possibly because of this checkered past, she technically registered under a false name for her marriage.
Oh.
Do you want to guess what her false name was? Like her false first name?
It's not Cicerella.
No,
It was probably something really basic.
it's not.
Oh, it's not.
It's not spelling. It's like she used a totally different name.
Totally different name.
Ira.
No. No. Alleyway.
Alleyway. Can you spell that?
Olliway.
Alleyway Canavan or different last name?
Different last name. Can't remember the last name off the top of my head. If you go onto Ancestry.com, you'll find that Ira's marriage certificate isn't technically to the wife that is listed in the newspaper articles. It's this Alleyway lady. But if you go and compare the timing as well as the location of the marriage, it's very clearly Cece.
Huh.
So did Ira know her as Cece or as Alloway? Was she lying to him as well?
It seems that he knew her as Cece. I don't know if he knew that she lied on the marriage certificate.
Okay. Wow.
Because,
So maybe she was previously married.
oh yes, I was
Or
going to
she
say
could-
that's part of the reason
Yeah.
why.
Was she still legally married?
That is
Possibly under that
a
other
question. That is a question because to back up a little bit, according to newspaper accounts, Cece was everything Ira was not in the worst way. Where Ira was known for being honest and industrious with a clear family tree, Cece was an enigma, both due to her recent immigration status, arriving in the U.S. in 1897, and the fact that she was selective with what she told people. While I hesitate to accuse her of lying on the census, when it could easily have been just a misunderstanding, it should be noted that newspaper accounts claim that her maiden name was Montague Leadlow, Montigee, Leadlow, Leadlow.
So we have no idea what her real name is.
No, it is unclear if they were implying that Montague is the first name or if it's a hyphenated surname. But either way, they claim that was her maiden name, that she hailed from Scotland, whereas census information recorded only her married name of Canavan and claimed that she and her parents hailed from Canada.
Jeez. Okay.
No, this is all on her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is her being kind of a,
She's an interesting person. And going back to both of your points of like why she would have used a false name for the marriage certificate. Additionally, it seems that she had either separated from her first husband prior to a certain incident, or he abandoned her after. But when Cece appeared in print for the first time, she was identified as a single woman working as a cook for a well-known Missoulian family when they were poisoned in late March of 1901.
Wow.
We don't know if like she went to work for the family because her husband had divorced her and she was still going off her married name, or if her husband was like, yeah, I'm out, and just ditched her when this all was going down.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But that is the most likely reason why she had a completely different name on her marriage certificate to Ira.
I was trying to think of like the term for her using multiple names, but like a scam artist kind of is what.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what her whole...
or maybe just nuts.
I think she was unwell.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't leave Montana after the family was poisoned.
It's interesting because apparently she moved from the city of Butte to Missoula. They got married in Idaho.
Oh.
Honeymooned in Washington, came back and lived in Superior, which is about 52 minutes from Missoula.
Okay.
And she didn't kill her husband. He just hooked it out of there.
Yeah, he just hoofed it out of there. I have confirmation that he married at least twice more and had kids. So his name was Mortimer. Mortimer's fine.
Okay.
And they couldn't prove that she poisoned the family?
Just wait.
Okay. The more you tell us about this lady, the more questions we have.
Again, there's a reason why I was like, this is a good story.
Yeah.
So the family had become violently ill after consuming only the soup course of their Sunday dinner, because that was a time period we were in. Everything had a course. So it was very early in their meal. But either way, even though all the family as well as a guest had the soup, it was the matriarch, Mrs. J.E. Topman, who succumbed to the corrosive poison a day later. Prior to her death, Mrs. Topman noted that...
It was the soup.
Honestly, though. She noted that Cece, first identified as Cecilia before the newspapers got her name quote-unquote right, if you can count the many alternative spellings, had started cooking the soup stock before having to go lay down due to being ill. So Cece started making the soup, had started the stock, didn't feel well, left, and Mrs. Topman finished up making the soup. However, the matriarch, as she was making the soup, like she tasted the stock before she threw more stuff in it, and she was like, that tastes weird, but she kept making it.
Yeah.
But because she was taste testing it so much, they're pretty sure that that's why she
ingested so much. Mm-hmm. And Cece could have also been taste testing it if she's not the one poisoning it.
Right.
Or breathing in the fumes if she was the one poisoning the soup.
Not helping Cece's case, after serving, Cece threw out the rest of the soup and cleaned the dishes. So, to lay the scene, the family is sitting down for dinner. Soup is served. They all have like a couple spoonfuls, so on and so forth. Doorbell rings because somebody's coming late for dinner. One of the older daughters goes out to greet them. She basically crumples in front of them, like hunched over in pain. And everybody else also starts becoming violently ill. Everything's kind of left on the table. At one point, the man of the household and one of the daughters did tell Cece, hey, don't eat any of that soup. We ate the soup and we got sick. But she claims like there was no soup really left over. She only had like a little bit, and whatever was left over, she threw down the sink. Mm-hmm. And then she cleaned the dishes.
Washed away the evidence.
So when the doctors came to get a sample, there was nothing to sample. So again, not great.
Right.
It was one of those things that people were very much like, well, it's either malicious or she's just a dumb serving girl.
Mm-hmm.
Her charges left the table unattended, seemingly making it clear that they were done with this course.
Mm-hmm.
Of course she was going to clean it up.
Right.
She has a job to do.
Right.
While Cece insisted that the poisoning occurred due to the soup serving dish being used the prior Friday to hold chemicals for a photography developing session, because at-home photography was a thing back then.
And, using the bowl for multiple uses like that, I could see that.
She claims it was that. Other people were like, no, it was definitely not that, because we definitely washed the dishes, and it's like...
Right. How much of the chemicals really could have been left in the bowl?
half the things that these people are using could poison them to begin with.
Right.
Whether Cece did do it intentionally or not, like, she could have done it accidentally.
Right.
Like, it's so easy.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it was a technicality of not wanting to hold the coroner's jury for longer than 6 weeks that closed the case, rather than an actual verdict.
Wow.
So the case happened in late March, and then by start of May, mid-May, they were like, we haven't come to a conclusion yet. We got to let these guys go. And so they basically let the jury say, yeah, she was poisoned. We don't know by who or how.
Wow.
Case closed. Not helping her reputation because, again, at least a conviction or an acquittal would have been a definitive.
Right.
But now she kind of has to like wander around with the, you weren't proven innocent.
Right. And how many people died from it?
Only one, but only the mom, but there was 5 people sickened by it.
Okay.
Not helping her reputation was one of the doctor's assertions that she smelled of whiskey and was intoxicated when he responded to the mansion to treat the sick. It was also shared that she had worked in the Montanan governor's mansion prior to her service at the Topmans.
Wow.
But was suspected of stealing multiple pieces of jewelry.
Well, that's okay.
It doesn't mean
the rich.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
Doesn't mean she's killing people.
The governor.
I don't disagree, but it definitely was not.
It's shady. Yeah.
It definitely didn't help her reputation.
Right.
Sorry, we're getting to one of my favorite parts in the script. But throughout the entire episode, the local newspapers trumpeted how she was hysterical, having to remain hospitalized due to overexcitement and general unbalance, and all but gleefully including that at least one medical professional deemed her a pervert. Here meaning more like freak or other rather than something sexually deviant.
Right.
But it was literally like, Cicely Canavan is a pervert.
Yeah.
Prior to the incident, she allegedly underwent a surgery for female trouble. I don't know if that means a hysterectomy. I don't know if that means like something to do with her ovaries.
An abortion?
I don't know. Like female trouble. That's all they said. She underwent that surgery a few months into her service at the Topmans, a few months prior to the incident, but she had gone back to work and they had supported her through it. So they were like, that's weird. But one newspaper in particular was like, that's the start. That was the start of all her trouble.
Right.
And it wasn't helped that all the pressure and also just, I don't think she was well to begin with. And so she did have like a literal mental breakdown in a restaurant one day while all this was going on. And she had to be placed in what was their version of a psychiatric hold.
Which back then was probably absolutely terrifying.
Probably, but at the same time, because she had previously been hospitalized after the matriarch died, and then the cook, Cece, got taken to the hospital because basically she worked herself up into such a conniption she fainted. And then she was basically under house arrest at the hospital. So when the hospital basically got the call that, hey, we found one of yours, she had a mental breakdown, we're bringing her back.
Yeah.
It wasn't the usual.
Right.
And also in Montana, like literally Montana had only just become a state in like 1889. They were only like 11 years old at this point.
Yeah.
Mental health stuff would have just literally been a different room at the hospital anyway. So
that's kind of why I think when you said female problems, that could have just meant like a mental health thing since it wasn't really.
Right. It could have been just PMS or PMDD.
Right. So after the death of that woman, she then has a mental breakdown. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Multiple.
She has multiple.
And is admitted
Several times.
Psychiatric care. Okay.
Yes.
Based on what you've read about it, do you think she poisoned them?
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
I don't think she was well regardless.
Right.
I don't know if the fact that she was unwell persuaded her mind and her actions to go in such a dark way.
Right.
Again, as I said earlier, it's so easy back then to get poisoned.
Right.
Especially since it was literally the kids' hobby to do like photography. They weren't going to think twice about using the biggest dish that they could find in the house
Right.
for their picture bath.
Right.
So there is enough reasonable doubt that like I can completely understand why the coroner's jury did not come to a conclusion before 6 weeks were up.
Right. So she's lived quite a life before she even met Ira.
Oh, yes. This is my actual favorite part.
Oh, okay.
So I do want to note, as kind of a funny aside, Cece called that one particular newspaper the one who was like, her trouble was definitely started when she had like the female issues. That particular newspaper, the Mississaulian, was taken to task by Cece for their coverage.
Okay.
She invited them to her hospital room about a week after the poisoning occurred, surely tripping over themselves, thinking they were about to get an exclusive scoop, be it a confession or more denials. Either way, an exclusive from the biggest story in their town at the moment. The Mississaulian quickly dispatched at least one reporter. However, rather than an exclusive, Cece dressed that reporter down. First, for calling her a woman and not a lady. Apparently, there was a distinction.
Okay.
There was a distinction back then. Because woman more denoted like serving woman.
Okay.
Whereas lady...
It's like proper.
Proper.
Yeah.
That was her first complaint, that they called her a woman and not a lady. Though she was a working lady, she was still a lady, she insisted, with at least one newspaper account attesting that her conversation style and appearance did give the indication of some upper-class breeding. The reporter, who later described Cece as especially snappy that day, with troubles to air and anger to vent, would also hear the lady's opinion on those who testified against her at the inquest. All a set of trash, and her insistence that she was not drunk at all, and that she doubted that the hospital would have admitted her if she had been drunk, rather than sending her to sober up elsewhere. So essentially, the doctor is like, she was drunk when I got there to take care of the family, and within like the hour she has her breakdown, she gets taken to the hospital, and she's like, if I was drunk like he said, wouldn't they have like taken me to the drunk tank to like sober me up?
Right.
They have places for drunk people. They wouldn't have taken me to the hospital.
Spend the time and the resources to admit you.
Right. Yeah. So she pointed that out. She also complained of a man catching her and holding her in his arms while she was sick. So it honestly sounds like a random guy, an attendant, happened to be next to her and caught her when she was like, about to faint.
How dare you?
He had no right to do that, she sniffed, adding that she had been, quote, held in better arms than his.
Wow.
Men, let this
Poor
be
guy.
a lesson. Just let her fall.
I was going to say, like, literally, like, I appreciate the spunk, but I'm also like, Cece.
That's a little too far.
Yeah,
Right.
I was kind of on board with a lot of it, but...
It is very funny, though. I like the fact that she had to include the fact that she has been held in better arms than him.
Oh, yeah.
Like, let it be known.
Well, like the guy was probably like, I didn't say they were better arms.
Yeah,
like, I was
just trying to be a decent human being.
He's like, this is my job, ma'am.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and if she's a lady, like you shouldn't let a lady
Fall.
Or maybe
yeah.
you should if this is
If this is what the lady desires.
Or maybe she's not a lady. Maybe she's a woman.
maybe she's a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cece had some spunk to her.
So I also find it interesting that the reporter got basically screamed at by her, and then
We're not even done yet.
he went back to the office and just typed up the story.
Oh, 100%. Your comment is especially fitting because ending her tirade, she told the reporter that their newspaper was trash and that their story would have been more correct if they had interviewed the family and not the responding doctors. In their final statement on that visit, the newspaper noted, her bearing was defiant, the expression in her eyes malignant, and her language tempestuous. She seemed at the point of hysteria, and fearing she might feel in the need of physical exercise, unquote, the newspaperman respectfully withdrew.
Wow. I love old newspapers. We should start writing like that again.
We really should.
I don't even know what half of those words were.
Mike's like, God, I wish I could read.
Yeah.
Also, that reporter was probably like, okay, this is good enough. Like,
Yeah.
probably
yeah.
went right back and got right to it.
If anything, he was probably inspired.
Yep.
The fact that there wasn't a mention of a heaving bosom,
Yeah.
like that was what I was like fully expecting at some point. There was none of that, thankfully. But on a more serious note, this was the past, the poisoning, that Cece had basically just resolved when she tied the knot with Ira in about September or October of 1901.
And sorry, you said she was 25 when she married.
Yes, and he was 38.
So all of that happened at a pretty young age for her.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So she had resolved that, got married to Ira. Later testimony claimed her true colors came out on the honeymoon when she became drunk for the first time. The pattern continued and worsened upon their return home, allegedly, with Ira insisting that he still intended to see the marriage through, even as the couple quarreled, and Ira's wife, more than a decade younger than him, allegedly threatened his life on at least a weekly basis.
Wow.
Thus, with the quarrel slowly but surely reaching the local rumor mill, it wasn't necessarily surprising when everything went wrong. However, no one knew how messy the whole affair would be from start to finish, except perhaps Ira, who would be found one evening in September of 1902, standing in the front yard of his house with a gash across his throat from ear to ear as his wife laid unconscious in their bedroom with blunt force trauma. Though it will remain forever murky who initiated the attack, it cannot be argued that Ira Presley and his wife were brutalized within an inch of their lives either on September 14th or 15th of 1902. The variance of dates is contingent on what theory one accepts as the most likely scenario for the crime, which will be explained a little bit later. While Ira suffered from a slit throat, the laceration resulting... This is going to get a little bit gory for a second.
Okay.
Good.
I was going to say...
Let's do it.
It's good that you put a warning in there, though.
It's all right.
I only put in the warning on a technicality. There was a second where I was like, should I include all these details? And it's like, I feel like...
At least for Nick, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Let's hear it.
So, while Ira suffered from a slit throat, the laceration resulting in a nearly half-severed head, as described by a newspaper, with the esophagus apparently cut through and almost to the spine, Cece had suffered a major contusion to the back of her head, with deep cuts also perforating her head.
Is he still alive?
He's still alive.
And they found him standing in the front yard.
With a straight razor found at the bedside, the case seemed clear enough, if not still odd. After all, the neighborhood was notified of the crime more by accident than anything, as neighbor James Murray stopped by around 6 p.m. on Monday, September 15th, to borrow a tool, knocking at the front door and finding it locked. Still seemingly summoned by the knock at the door, Ira came from behind the house, presumably from the back door, to greet Murray. Murray in turn greeted Ira, who was in his nightshirt and drawers, and asked him what he had been up to. When Ira responded by simply raising his hand to point at his throat, which is a horror movie beginning.
Hey, what's up, man?
It's like
I can't answer.
It's
I have
a comedy.
no esophagus.
Like, that's like
what
a
you been up
comedy.
to, man?
Yeah. Like gurgling on his own blood and being like, hey, man,
Like,
I can't talk because my head is half off.
like I'm literally like holding my head right now. Like, can you please?
It would be a little bit funnier if he initially did answer the door.
Oh, like as if everything was okay.
Yeah.
And he answered the front door.
Yeah.
And the neighbor has to be played by Don Knotts.
Oh, 100%. I'm trying to think of who the modern equivalent of Don Knotts would be. I think it's Steve Buscemi.
Yeah. Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
They should have Steve Buscemi be in a Don Knotts biopic.
I would like that. That would be really good, actually. Regardless, seeing his name. What's up?
Sorry. The fact that he had to point to it, like, how did the neighbor not notice?
So, like, the
Was it,
neighbor-
like, covered up or?
It was like kind of dark out.
Yeah.
Later testimony by the guy, he saw like that he had been wounded.
Mm-hmm.
And like
Everyone was wounded back then.
Well, yes and no, but like he wasn't sure if it was like dried blood or like if it was just like a thin line. But like
Right.
his what he'd been up to was more so like, how'd you do that? Kind of
Right.
like in that kind of way. But
So
which
do you-
is part of the reason why it dawned on him when Ira couldn't answer him.
Right.
Oh, it's not just a surface.
This isn't something that happened earlier in the week. He's like actively.
Right.
Do you think the
Having a
newspaper
crisis.
may have sensationalized it a little bit then when they said that his head was
The partial
halfway off?
decapitation, yeah.
No, because we'll get to a detail that makes
He
it
really was that messed up. I just don't understand how that wouldn't have killed him. And how he's still walking around.
His esophagus was partially like severed to the esophagus or partially severed.
at
That's
least
through
partially severed.
Like your jugular and stuff. It's crazy.
We'll get there.
People from Peck are pretty badass.
That's not the theory. That's not the conclusion to take from that.
Oh.
Seeing his neighbor's throat basically open to the world, Murray jumped into action, backtracking to another neighbor's house to get extra help, as well as to borrow a horse to go and fetch the doctor in the next town over. When Murray returned with the doctor, the house was flooded with neighbors being more nosy than helpful, with a couple eventually removed for care at the hospital. While Cece remained mostly, if not fully, comatose for the remaining 17 days of her life, with a last-ditch surgery only confirming that she was suffering from brain bleeding, Ira was able to talk to investigators, albeit with great difficulty, being forced to tuck his chin down against his chest so he could speak in a whisper prior to the doctors attempting to close the wound up. So essentially, yeah, you had to basically...
I know you guys like the gory stuff, but that makes my skin crawl.
No, that part was like...
That's
Excuse me,
unsettling.
let me hold my head on so I can
right, like literally...
make enough sounds with my throat to tell you what you need to know.
Literally just doing this.
Oh.
Look at me, Michael.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to think about it. I know what it looks like.
Yeah, that's something.
This is the happiest I've seen Nick.
I'm into it.
And this is the most upset I've seen you.
I mean, I don't mind the gory stuff, but that's just
a bit
leave
much.
the guy alone.
Leave the guy alone. Well, he wanted to talk to them.
Yeah, he was probably like, in case I die during surgery, because like 60% of people die during surgery in 1902 or whatever it was.
The fact that they were like, yeah, we're not going to do surgery immediately. We're going to see if he dies first.
Yeah.
Right.
And then if he actually pulls through the night, then we'll throw some effort in.
Right.
You're the first person in Montana to have your head nearly cut off. We literally have no idea how to fix this.
I mean, you're probably not completely wrong about that. But needless to say...
He was messed up.
He was messed up. He was very messed up.
But he did survive.
Yes, he did survive. And despite him insisting that he was innocent and that upon waking with his own wound, he was unaware that his wife had also been wounded, his story is essentially that he went to bed after feeling extremely drowsy around 6:30 p.m.
Oh.
And then he woke up at 10 p.m. with the gash. A doctor later was like, it would be literally the force of the blow and also like shock of the wound that would wake you up before you just, woke up just because of a sound. Because that's what he claimed woke him up. The sound of footsteps walking away. And it's like,
oh, you got woken up from getting your throat slit.
Yeah.
Right. That would wake you up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you were heavily sedated.
Right.
So I have a theory that maybe she slit his throat and he like defended himself by hitting her, but apparently he had no idea she was even hurt.
That's his claim.
Okay.
And again, she is unconscious and cannot dispute or add.
He's claiming he had no idea she was hurt.
Yes.
Right.
But he woke up in the bedroom.
He woke up in the bedroom. His wife is beside him. And
he just figures she's asleep.
Well, he was like basically trying to get her attention. And she was like, what? He was like, I didn't realize that she was hurt because she didn't say anything. Mm-hmm. Which a bit of me is like, typical man.
Yeah.
She didn't say anything, so I just assumed.
Yeah.
And it's like, of course she didn't say anything. She was freaking bludgeoned. But
to give men a little bit of credit here.
He's like, well,
his head was halfway off.
Well, he's like, even though my head's halfway off, I better not bother her. She clearly just wants to sleep.
Yeah.
Right. You're right. Ira's the innocent one.
So far.
Yeah. So this is going back a little bit, but
we're talking about where Peck got its name.
This is actually one of my theories. No. How long after they were married did this happen?
A year.
Yeah. And they had started fighting immediately, basically. Allegedly. And she started drinking immediately. Allegedly. Yeah. Okay.
Again, if anything, the one thing about this case is the fact that everybody is willing to go to bat for Ira. Mm-hmm. Cece has no one.
Right.
Like there's no.
She's a woman.
She's a woman
because of her past.
And her past, and like the fact that she doesn't have any local family.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
but Ira didn't either.
No, but he was
well respected.
He was well respected, and he lived there for at least 2 years longer than she had.
And he was a man
who had an important business.
Right. Mm-hmm. So you're probably going to get to it, but Ira said that it was somebody else, and he saw him.
He at least heard him allegedly.
Right. Does he claim to know who it was?
We'll get there.
Okay, I figured. Just want to make sure.
I'm still sticking to the theory that it was her.
Considering who was awake and who was not, and at the time wanting to put a pin in this case, investigators pegged Ira as a culprit, believing that he had attempted a murder-suicide out of jealousy. After all, the rumor mill claimed that Cece had, just a week or two prior to the attack, run off with a railroad worker and had only returned recently, for whatever reason. Pointed to as proof of his guilt was that his statement did not at all match with Murray's, who had multiple eyewitnesses verifying what time he arrived seeking help that Monday evening. All agreed that Murray arrived to fetch the doctor from Superior around 7 p.m., trekking with the usual travel time for the 2-ish mile distance between the Presley homestead and Superior, Montana. Ira, meanwhile, said he had gone to bed at 6:30 p.m. and woke up at 10 p.m. with his wound.
Right.
The defense would later posit that the inconsistency was due to the attack happening a day earlier than what was believed, which would have worsened the condition of both injured parties. However, whereas Cece's injuries proved fatal, seemingly with or without early intervention being able to change anything, Ira's recovery is basically miraculous in comparison then.
Yeah.
Be it because he avoided bleeding out completely or because he avoided dying from exposure of his internal processes. While the defense's timing certainly accounts for the presented timelines, I'm not sure if it holds up medically, but I admit I lack in-depth knowledge on that particular subject.
Right.
It doesn't pass the smell test, though.
Wait, is she dead?
She is basically dead.
Okay.
She's in a coma
for 17 days.
Right.
Regardless, it was a little less than a week after his family in Michigan was informed of the attack that Ira's wife passed from her wounds on October 2nd, 1902. Shortly after her death, Ira was officially presented with a warrant charging him with his wife's murder. As he was placed into suicide watch at the hospital, curious onlookers filed through Cece's funeral at the local undertaker's. No one actually mourning the slain woman, though.
Right.
Cece would be buried in a potter's field without a service as, due to her difficult reputation, she had only one mourner, and he was unable to attend, having been accused of her murder. However, it can be assumed that Cece didn't miss Ira's presence at the funeral. After all, it was her admission, given in brief flashes of consciousness, allegedly, that laid the blame at her husband's feet, with the hospital matron claiming the woman had accused her husband of beating her with a flat iron.
So she was able to speak before she died?
Allegedly.
Okay.
The hospital matron said that she was able to communicate with her and get yes or no answers and stuff like that.
But nobody else talked to her?
Not really.
Yeah.
Maybe one other nurse, but it was really only the matron.
Okay.
And Cece's tongue was partially paralyzed because, again, head trauma. Right. So who knows if she was actually able to do anything more than grunts.
Right.
And also, a lot of the doctors who looked at the case and everything were like, she probably was completely comatose.
Right.
From the time she arrived at the hospital to the time that she passed.
Right. Even if you asked her a question, there's a good chance she would have no idea what.
Right. That is one of the difficulties.
Right.
Because there are people claiming that she definitely pointed the finger at him. And then there's other people who are like, there's no way that she could have done that.
Right.
It's one of those things that is I suppose if Ira can survive a gash to his throat that should have cut off his head.
Yeah.
I can suspend my disbelief for Cece to have passed along a message while she was half comatose.
Right.
I obviously leave your conclusions up to y'all.
I don't know enough about the case, and we're going to learn more about it. But if it was a murder-suicide, presumably he kills her first. How would you be able to cut yourself that badly?
It was discussed at trial, and there was basically an argument of they were insisting that it wasn't self-inflicted because the wound wasn't deep enough on one side and stuff like that.
What I was going to say is when it's self-inflicted, you can tell from the way that, maybe not back then, but there's a way now that usually they can tell from the way that the cut is if someone did it to themselves or if it was someone came up behind them.
Right.
That being said, how Ira describes his throat being cut in bed, it does line up still, unfortunately,
right,
more
because
so.
It's from the front.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I didn't think about that.
I was going to say, so unfortunately for Ira, there are definitely pluses and minuses to points of innocence.
Right. Wow.
But despite Ira being served the warrant and officially arrested, proceedings did not truly get underway until November of 1902. Ira instead spent October at the hospital working towards healing.
Right. Could I get my head reattached before I have to go to court?
Pretty please.
Yeah.
While hospitalized, Ira also retained his attorney, area newcomer Harry Parsons, who took on Ira as his first case in the Missoula area.
Wow, that's a big case for your first one.
And he was kind of a young lawyer, too.
Trying to make a name for himself.
100%. With his attorney guiding him and his body slowly regaining the strength needed to speak, Ira was seemingly ready to defend himself to the death once more, insisting again that he was innocent and that instead he was the subject of a murder conspiracy planned by his wife and her lover, a mysterious railman.
Okay.
Strengthening his case, if not in court, then at least in the public's opinion, was a letter submitted in November by prior associates in Peck, Michigan, who rallied behind him in a public letter published in multiple newspapers across the country, trumpeting his virtues while noting that Cece didn't even have a good reputation among her own community, let alone the Peck one.
We stand up for our own.
By the time the end of November rolled around and a preliminary examination was waived due to the local prosecutor's illness, Ira was walking into the courtroom with a much more solid group of supporters than the likes of Billy Jack of a prior case enjoyed. But his supporters would not make up the jury, meaning it was time to let the theories fly in open court. Anything before we take a quick break?
I just can't believe this guy's still alive. Like the severity of the injury and like the medical.
I mean, his attorney technically has a theory on that as well.
Yeah.
So when the trial officially opened on Monday, December 8th, 1902, the jury selection was of typical fare. Several potential jurors were dismissed due to prior discussion and opinions of the case, while others were dismissed via peremptory challenges. However, then one notable jury note from the first day is that the opening session of the trial, so opening statements, had to be adjourned barely halfway through due to a juror being too drunk to listen properly.
That's awesome.
Different times.
That was what blew my mind. What do you mean he got on the jury when he was drunk?
Right.
Did he get drunk during the lunch recess? Because they did the morning session, picked out the jury, and then came back to do the opening statement. So it's did you just have one too many at lunch, bro?
Right. Like you're allowed to get drunk, but you can't be so drunk that you can't listen.
Get drunk to lock in. Don't get drunk to forget.
Yeah. I mean, it's noon. You got to have something.
Got to wet your whistle.
Yeah. It's noon in the 1800s.
Yeah.
It's noon in the It's noon in the 1800s somewhere.
Yeah.
There is a t-shirt right there.
Yes, so court was promptly dismissed, and that particular juror was escorted to spend the night in the local drunk tank, with the incident firmly left behind when court resumed on Tuesday. Literally, the newspapermen were like, is the judge going to, scold that juror? Nope, they just moved on. They were like, we're not even gonna...
They moved on with him or without him?
Oh, with him.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's he sobered up.
We still trust your judgment.
Yeah, you're sober now.
Yeah.
It's chill.
Just don't do it again, please.
Who among us?
Yeah.
But anyways, the first main witness for the state's case was James Murray, the neighbor who had been first at the scene and the main contradiction to Ira's timing claims. It was partially because of these timing claims, so the whole 7 versus 10 p.m. kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because of these claims, Ira's attorney Parsons led Murray on a particularly detailed examination of the remembered times, finishing with an aside of, I just wanted to see if he could tell time. So essentially he was like, what time did you get there? Cool. What day did you meet Ira? What day did you first meet so-and-so? How did you remember that day? How do you remember that day?
Like a lawyer tactic to establish credibility or whatever.
100%. And obviously the state was objecting, and the judge was overruling because nothing untoward, just meandering. But yeah, literally finishes all that up. And then as an aside to the courtroom / the jury, I just wanted to see if he could tell time.
Yeah.
Murray proved himself a difficult witness in many ways, becoming frustrated and almost combative on the stand, even having to be reminded at least once not to reply sarcastically.
Sorry if I'm being sarcastic. I'm pretty drunk right now.
They didn't say anything about the witnesses not being drunk.
Yeah.
It should be noted that despite expressing belief that Cece disliked him and portraying himself as a friend of Ira's, Murray was heard by others praising Cece while expressing dislike for Ira, as testified to at trial. So when he was being examined, he was saying yeah, Cece didn't like me, so I didn't really hang out around the Presley household that often because she didn't like me there. But Ira was my friend, we chatted and everything like that. And then other eyewitnesses were like, no, if anything, we thought that he had a crush on Miss Cece.
Oh.
Especially with how he was saying that he disliked and didn't trust Ira. But again,
so he's not really a credible witness either.
Possibly not. He also claimed that Ira actually believed that his wife did poison her former employers. This flies in the face of Ira's claim that he loved his wife so much that he even threatened to assault people who claimed that she poisoned the family.
Right.
Ira's claim was, and I threatened to slap anybody who ever even mentioned that case to me. And Murray's like, yeah, no, if anything, towards the end, he was like, yeah, she definitely poisoned them.
Yeah.
Which, if anything, that point kind of stands in Murray's favor just for we'll get to the reason why.
Well, and it could have started one way and then changed. Like in the beginning, maybe Ira did defend her a lot more. But
That's
then
true, yeah.
once things started going south, he changed his tune maybe.
Right.
So maybe both can be true.
Yeah, honestly, both are probably true, but of course Ira's not going to
He's not
admit
gonna
the
say
truth
that.
to the second one.
Right.
However, the thing that stuck out for me during Murray's original testimony was that Murray expressed that he regretted going to the house that night and getting help for the Presleys because he felt as if he had not been properly compensated for his efforts.
Oh, man. This guy.
Like,
Yeah, he feels like he should have got paid and or like a pat on the back or like a medal or something for being the first at the scene.
Like from who? Like Presley? Or
It sounded as if from Presley, yes, but also like just
the woman
in
still
general.
died, dude. Like, you didn't.
yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
oh, just wait. Just wait. Also not helping his credibility on that point, and with the jury, was the fact that the jury learned that he had insisted on riding alone with Mrs. Presley on the way to the hospital, seemingly, supposedly out of interest of a potential revelation of information, but seemingly really to lift money off of the dying woman's person.
Oh, man.
It is possible that he turned that money over to the attending staff at the hospital, but I doubt any juror believed that he did.
So they were able to prove that he did take money from her?
They
Right.
were able to get him to admit to it on the stand.
Like,
Man.
stole money, or what do you mean a loan?
No. So because of how messed up they were, it was like, we need to take 2 separate wagons. You take Ira. I'll take Mrs. Ira. And like, maybe she'll spill the beans to me.
Mm-hmm.
When in reality, when he was alone with her in the wagon, he took money belonging to her off her unconscious person.
Right.
And the defense got him to admit to that on the stand.
Well, it belonged to him. It was payment because he was taking her to the
oh,
hospital.
yeah, that's what,
Right.
that's essentially the line of thinking.
I don't know that I can trust what Ira is saying, but this guy,
But Murray sucks.
yeah.
So, some defense attorneys might have flipped the case on the first responding witness, and indeed, Murray would have been an easy sell, especially with his more dodgy statements and dislike of Ira. However, as mentioned earlier, Attorney Parsons went with a different tact. While he didn't necessarily blame the boogeyman, he might as well have, because the boogeyman was about as real and as identifiable as the man known as the tie maker, the railman who Mrs. Presley had allegedly run off with previously. So y'all know railway ties?
Mm-hmm.
That was his job. The supposed murderer's job was
Yeah.
tie maker. And why do I keep calling him the tie maker? Well, not even Ira knew his name.
Why would Ira know his name?
Well, according to Ira, the tie maker was a man that had been employed by the Presleys within a few
Oh.
days to a week of the attack.
So he should have known his name.
He
should have.
He should
Yeah.
have known his name, especially since the Presleys had fought after Ira had fired the man. In the newspapers, it called it objectionable behavior, like that's why the guy got fired. To my understanding, Ira explained it at trial that the guy would say that he was sick, but then he would still be hanging around the house.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, obviously you're not sick, you're just being lazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Ira throughout the entire trial very much sets himself up as like, I'm just a rube. I'm just a helpless, in-love rube who like completely got sideswiped by my wife.
Yeah.
I didn't see the fact that she was having an affair with the tie maker, even though it's super obvious, because why else would the tie maker be loitering around my house?
He's too stupid to successfully do that, though, it seems. Like, he's not
It seems like it, but at the same time, it's either that he's much smarter than we're giving him credit for, or he's stupid and everybody likes him and just is letting him get away with it.
Right. And at this point, there's really no story that can contradict his.
Because he's the only story.
Right.
He's a survivor.
And because Murray is
Really
way
unreliable.
Dumber, way dumber.
That too. I do agree with that. So, furthermore, according to Ira, the whole process of hiring the man was odd. He claimed he was fairly sure he saw the stranger one day leave his house out the back while he was returning home, only for Cece to introduce the stranger to Ira later as a potential employee.
Mm. I've seen you before.
Yeah, you were sneaking out my back door when I was coming home. Nice to see you again.
You're the
Nope.
guy that was banging my wife.
Yeah, no, none of that. None of that critical thought.
Hmm.
Upon his firing, upon the time maker's firing, Ira's wife supposedly flew into another rage, during which she told her husband that he wasn't as great as the just fired railman, basically implied like you're not fit to handle his turds.
I've been held in better arms.
Yes.
Yep.
And that she liked the former employee better. Despite this, Ira insisted he still loved his wife and would have happily resumed their marriage if she had survived the attack. Which, I'm not gonna lie, like, made me kind of chuckle in a dark way, because it's like, oh, if she had survived.
Right.
You made darn well sure that didn't happen. But.
Right. And what motivation would the former employee have to kill her?
We'll get there.
Okay.
So, the insistence that Ira still loved his wife despite her quote-unquote obvious hatred of him. This insistence was also made after Ira shared his belief that his wife was trying to poison him. So you know how like initially he was like, I don't believe my wife's a poisoner and I'll slap anybody who says she is.
Yeah.
Now he's fully leaning into it.
Right.
So.
How in on it is his attorney? Like with all these changing stories, do you think his attorney is
I think it's
helping him strategize?
Yes. Because once the attorney gets introduced, the railman becomes a solidified point of defense. Whereas before, it was just...
He was barely even brought up.
I was going to say, it was literally just a rumor in the newspaper.
Those newspapers.
Yeah.
I was going to say, the Mizalewin, like... I don't know if I recommend or not going and looking at their coverage of the case because it is every bit of yellow journalism. They're just outright accusing the guy of, like, murder... And then later, when the verdict comes in, they're just like...
We never said that.
Right.
Yeah.
We never said that. Or we never said that, / we knew how it was going to go, actually.
He was innocent.
So...
Well, the fact that he's bringing up that he thought he was getting poisoned by his wife, that could have just been a tactic as well.
Oh, yeah, which is part of the reason why I bring up the fact that,
Because even if he didn't believe that, the jury might, just based off of her past.
Right. And also backing Ira's claim up was the fact that the defense claimed pills were found in Cece's personal effects, with the pills alleged by a testifying doctor to be made from belladonna and opium to induce, if not death, then deep unconsciousness. Well,
which is what he suffered from that night, allegedly.
Allegedly.
When he went to bed at 7 o'clock or 6:30.
Yeah.
Belladonna, like, can kill you.
Oh, yeah.
A lot.
Right, which is
can kill you very much.
Yeah. Cece was trying to poison him. The word trying makes it sound as if Cece was doing the alleged activity secretly. But no, Ira claimed that at one point, shortly before the physical attack, his wife told him that, quote, she tried to kill him, means to kill him, and will kill him yet. And this was apparently after he caught her poisoning his coffee as a joke. I want to note that despite the fact that the defense railed about the fact that Ira was supposedly repeatedly poisoned, again, he claims that he was poisoned at least 3 times.
And he survived it? Like,
one of those times was the night of the attack.
Okay.
One of the other times, he apparently, like, caught it before he drank too much because he was like, my coffee tastes weird. But then, like, she kept putting it in the coffee.
It's just a joke, though.
So it's like, either stop drinking coffee or stop trusting your wife. Like, gosh darn, dude. But either way, his story is basically that Sunday, he was so tired from, like, his long day that he came home, he had dinner, he had his cup of coffee without even thinking about the prior incidents.
How would you forget something like that?
Right. Laid down at 6:30, and then by the time that he woke up, he had a gash in his throat, and what time is it?
Yeah.
It looks like 10. Oh, it's 7 o'clock the next day? What?
Yeah.
Are they like, is he postulating that he would have been poisoned by the belladonna opium concoction before he got his throat slashed?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, he wasn't, like, you would be very sick.
Yes. And also,
I'm assuming that's what she gave the family, too.
I mean, in some fairness, the newspaper articles back then said corrosive poison.
Jeez.
So I honestly do think that, like, it was an accidental, like, photography chemical poisoning because of the corrosive element.
Well, if he had been poisoned with belladonna, that it, like, tears your stomach apart.
Oh.
Like, it's not a pleasant...
That's fair, but it seems more so like when they reported, it was more like they had mouth sores and stuff like that. Whereas Ira. It didn't mention any mouth sores or any signs of poisoning. And
I'm just more so saying his story doesn't add up because, like, he wasn't sick.
100%.
Right.
And also, again, despite the defense being like, Ira was repeatedly poisoned, they also still credit the poisoning for technically saving his life after his throat was cut, claiming, quote, that the belladonna and opium mix congested his lungs and forced the affected blood away. Again, not a medical professional, but that doesn't sound right?
Not really.
Maybe back then people thought it would.
I was going to say, but the jury believed it, though.
Yeah.
I mean, the opium probably
That was like...
numbed the pain.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, it's probably
That's why he was standing there.
Yeah.
And, like,
Right.
and also back then, like, opium was like in snake oil, and that was like what was the miracle
Right.
cure for everything, right?
Right.
Yeah. Like, some people might be wondering, like, oh, how did she get opium pills? And like,
The opium's the easiest part of the
Yeah.
concoction.
Oh, yeah.
back then, that was not a big deal.
And belladonna, you can literally
Pick it.
Yeah, I know because my wife. I think it's belladonna. I would have to double check with her, but I think it's that like women used to take small amounts of to miscarry, like
Okay.
to intentionally terminate a pregnancy.
What does it do to men?
That's a good question, but I would think it would mess your stuff up, you know?
Oh, definitely. Again, the fact that he's supposedly surviving more than 2 poisonings
He's
from
making
this
it,
concoction.
especially with the throat slitting. The way I'm interpreting what he's saying is like he had been like benzoed so much that he just was completely unconscious, or like if it had been belladonna, it would. I don't mean to keep hammering that point.
No, you're
but-
fine. Because, like, again, the fact that the defense is claiming that the mix congested his lungs and forced the affected blood away.
Right.
Yeah, that's not what it would do.
Like, I don't know what poison could also be like a coagulant. Is that the word? But either way, like, I don't know what would make it congeal and, like, stop up the wound, so to speak.
Right.
So,
It also says on here that, I just kind of looked it up, that belladonna can cause severe hallucinations too. So he's definitely full of it.
oh, yeah.
Is there any practical use for it? Like, they found...
Other than miscarriage.
Right, they found the pills in her purse, but would
I mean,
there
that would
be
be for her.
any reason for her to be taking it?
To not have a baby.
Right.
I mean, especially if she had the female trouble and stuff like that.
Well,
Right.
or yeah, she could have been.
Probably prescribed it. Maybe. I
Well,
don't
if
know.
that surgery she had, though, could have been like to sterilize herself, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Back then, they would like literally have women who they thought were promiscuous be like forcibly sterilized.
Which I wouldn't be surprised if they technically had her do that because
Right.
they dragged her name up and down that street.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, if anything, you mentioning the fact that it helps with miscarriage
That
definitely
makes sense. Yeah.
it
I
being
wasn't
in
even
her-
thinking of that when I said it.
being in
but-
her
yeah.
personal effects, it probably was, and they just were immediately like, it's poison.
Right.
And yeah, but all this to say, Ira's wife supposedly had plenty of motive and personal hatred to push her to enlist her alleged lover into a plot to be rid of Ira for good, with the defense being sure to remind the jury that everyone in the general area agreed that Cece was bad news who threw tantrums when people tried to hold her accountable, preferred secret rendezvous with lovers, and was apparently a serial poisoner. After all of this, you may be still curious what the defense's theory was. It was essentially that after Cece drugged her husband that Sunday night, she let in her lover to help commit the crime, but for one reason or another, Cece also became a victim. Perhaps it was an argument that turned physical in the heat of the moment, or perhaps the mystery man realized the depth of the crime that he had just committed, and to cover his tracks, he killed the only other witness. That was what the defense was
Okay.
claiming. Either way, that was a story that the defense was sticking to. Helping shore up their case were doctors who testified that the wound was probably not self-inflicted, though there were, again, also doctors who testified for the state that it wasn't improbable or impossible, just undesirable in terms of a suicide method,
Right.
unless to specifically frame someone. Doctors also clashed on the effects of the alleged poison Ira was being dosed with one doctor insisting he recognized immediately that Ira had been drugged upon seeing him at the hospital,
Okay.
when there was like technically no indication to be looking for that thing.
Right.
But it's like, oh, yes, now that you mention it,
Yeah.
I could tell that he was drugged.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, another doctor insisted that the drug would not produce the effects that Ira was claiming would happen, especially as quickly as Ira was claiming they happened. Because as Ira had claimed the night of the attack, he felt sleepy within 10 to 15 minutes of finishing the supposedly drugged coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas apparently it would either have taken, I wasn't exactly able to ascertain if it would have taken longer or shorter to,
Right.
if anything, it seems a little bit longer
It wouldn't have taken 10 to 15 minutes.
to be like, oh, I'm dizzy.
Yeah.
Despite the state prosecution pointing out in their closing statement that the rail man was an unconfirmed person, like literally, we don't know if he exists. Nobody has verified. Nobody knows his name.
And how long was he employed for? A week or 2 weeks?
They didn't
They
really
don't
say.
really know.
Again,
And
because
Yeah, because you would think there would be employment records.
And there'd be a guy around somewhere that does rail ties in the area.
Right.
Like, this isn't a huge city, right?
right, especially in this area, like for if he was doing rail work, he could just literally
Right.
go to the next town over and start over anew.
True.
So despite the state prosecution pointing out in their closing statement that the rail man was an unconfirmed person who Ira himself didn't know the name of, jurors decided on Sunday, December 14th, 1902, to acquit Ira. One newspaper noted in announcing the news that, quote, the general consensus of opinion is that Presley killed his wife and should have been acquitted for killing her. There's another reason in the suggestion that he should have been sent to the penitentiary for attempting to kill himself.
Wait.
So essentially like, oh, we don't mind that you killed that girl because she was terrible, but you almost killed a good contributing man in society.
Is that really what they're saying?
So they must have believed that she was poisoning him.
And she probably deserved to die.
Right. Like, oh, she tried to poison him, so he had a right to kill her.
Right.
They went on to suggest that because of how good Ira was and how awful his wife allegedly was, both as a general person and in the marriage, Ira ultimately practiced self-defense, no matter the real circumstances behind the confrontation that night. And once again, Cece was deemed a pervert. Like, literally, they slipped it in at the end, like, undeniably a pervert. And it's like,
And she was just literally buried in an unmarked grave in a potter's field. And
Yeah.
even after this, they're still dragging her through the mud.
yeah. Ultimately, it took 4 votes by the jury to officially acquit Ira, with the first ballot finding 9 of the 12 jurors in favor of acquittal off the bat. The newspapers commented that the whole community was satisfied with the outcome, as if a woman's bad reputation precludes her from deserving justice. Within a week of the verdict, newspapers were buzzing with the rumor that the tie maker had been identified as a Frank Griffin or Griffith,
Oh.
who had recently applied for work in a mining camp at least one state over, but whose whereabouts remained unknown. And they remained unknown for the rest of time because that was the only mention of it ever again.
Right. How did they even make the connection?
Because a guy who had been out of town on a work trip basically came back, was like, I saw the news. I think I saw the rail guy.
Oh. Where were you during the trial, buddy?
I was on my work trip. So, yeah, fat lot of good that does.
Right.
And that's literally like within a week of the
And
trial finishing up.
At that point, there's really no need to confirm the story.
Not in their minds. It's like, well, we know who's innocent, so like
Right. We don't really need to get justice for.
this floozy.
Right.
I want to go back to the lawyer, to Ira's lawyer. Do you think this outcome was what they were going for?
Oh,
Like,
yes. 100%. They wanted
Well,
to...
yeah, admit you killed her because she was trying to kill you. It was self-defense.
I mean, he never officially
admits it, right?
admitted
But
it, but like
the
the newspapers were like,
I guess what I'm asking is if they manipulated the jury and the press into coming to that conclusion.
Yes.
Oh.
Just
Knowingly.
making her look like a
Right.
yeah.
terrible person.
100%. Again, even Sarah Haviland technically had like 1 or 2 people who were at least around to potentially be her defense witnesses and stuff like that. Cece had nobody.
Right.
Cece, no matter where she immigrated from, she was alone in this new area. She made her own life, and she didn't have any of the like older support systems or like being set into the city as long as, for instance, her employers. If things had gone differently with her employers, she may have had a little bit more of a shield
Right.
if this happened while she was still employed. But
Well, and she had the mental health issues after the poisoning of the other family. But if it was an accident, like, it's completely reasonable for someone to be messed up after that,
yes,
you know, for having to go through that. But unfortunately, I think that's probably why he was acquitted, because people were like, well, she poisoned someone before, so
yeah,
she probably did it again.
exactly.
Can a defendant say to their attorney, yes, I did it, and and then formulate a plan to, you know what I mean? Is that allowed? I know there's like attorney-client
I mean,
privilege. if you admit to it?
I think it's
Or does
technically allowed.
Does it always have to be like we both know you did it, but let's find a way out of this because...
It's one of those things where I think it may be technically allowed, but it usually is more so of a like...
Wink, wink.
Winky, wink, nudge, nudge. We both know that, like, there's a reason why you got charged with this. Unfortunately, they're not full of crap like we wish they were.
Right.
We have a lot of cases that make us ask that question, I feel. Because that was also our question with, like, the John Norman Collins case.
Yep.
Well, all things considered, it was kind of a dirtbag way of handling the case.
Yeah.
But it also worked. I mean, it was a good strategy.
For this guy's first case in town, like,
right.
Good job, man.
Let's just make this lady look terrible.
Right.
She's dead, so she can't defend herself.
And what really grinded my gears was the fact that, like, you know that, like, quote that I read about, like, oh, Presley killed his wife and everybody was okay with it. Mm-hmm. Like, they reprinted that, like, a week later, and, like, underneath that reprint was praise for the attorney. Like, he did such a good job on his first case. Yeah. Good job.
Yeah.
And it's like, you prosecuted a dead woman.
Right.
But sure, good job.
Right.
Either way, so no one else was ever charged with the murder of C.C. Presley. With her husband abandoning Montana by the end of December 1902, heading back to Peck, Michigan, and his family, and away from the homestead that reminded him of trauma. It wasn't the last that Montanans heard from Ira Presley, though. In February of 1903, rumors spread among Ira's former neighbors that Ira, still dealing with health issues related to the mostly healed throat injury and facing unemployment, had attempted suicide while back home in Peck. His former attorney, Harry Parsons, poo-pooed the claims, with a later letter from Ira around February 8, 1903, disproving the suicide rumors, with Ira claiming that anyone who started the rumors were just trying to slander his name.
So it was pretty widely reported in newspapers that he committed suicide, though.
Tried to?
Yeah.
Yeah, at least he attempted.
Right.
And that was partially because his neighbor, not Murray, but like the neighbor on the other side, basically. No, like
the neighbor in Montana.
Got a letter from Ira. Most of the letters prior had been Ira being like, it's great that I'm home. I'm so happy to be home. I'm doing great. But then, like, this past letter was like, my health issues, man, and like I'm having a hard time getting a job. Like, things are really hard. I don't know. So like he assumed / the rumor mill kind of took it and ran with it that like Ira's going through a hard time, play the telephone game enough times, and it's Ira's going through a hard time enough that he tried to commit suicide.
Yeah. Well, I only did a basic small amount of research on this, but it was what I showed you. Mm-hmm. Like on newspapers.com, there's a bunch of stories about how he committed suicide, and then the next time he's brought up, he returns to Montana. And it's like, well, what happened? Like, I thought he killed himself. But they reported it, but then they never clarified that it wasn't true.
I mean, they did.
They did, okay.
They did. It just wasn't as widely reported.
There's a minor footnote.
Right.
So, though there was a brief time in the spring of 1903 that Missoula citizens wondered if they'd see Ira again due to a property dispute wherein another rancher had moved into Ira's abandoned property, a sale of that property quickly divested Ira's interest in Montana forever. It's hard to say what Ira was up to between returning to Peck in 1957 when he died in Indiana at age 94. We don't know how long he remained in Michigan before heading off again. It doesn't appear that he ever married again, nor did he have any children, with his obituary listing nieces and nephews and siblings that survived him. It doesn't mention that he was preceded in death by his wife some 55 years earlier, nor that he was even married at all. To that end, Ira Presley held on to his good name. The question is, was his good name really worth more than justice for a murdered woman? And that's the end of my case.
That was a good one.
You guys really think he slit his own throat like that?
That's the thing that's
I believe that more if he was like laying down and just like trying to make it look as bad as he could and also trying to kill himself.
Right.
Again, there were plenty of debates on both sides from the doctors who, even though it was 1900s medical knowledge, is still more medical knowledge than I have. Mm-hmm. And they couldn't exactly agree if it was self-inflicted or not. They leaned towards not, but again, it was one of those like, it's not improbable, it's just really not preferable.
Right. But on the other hand, if he was trying to kill himself and the first attempt didn't work, like, why wouldn't he just finish the job?
How do you mean?
Well, like, if he was trying to kill, if he wanted it to be a murder-suicide,
I think
And at first he attempted it, but he didn't die.
a bit of me kind of wonders if even when he was planning to die, if he was still trying to preserve the reputation.
Right.
Because if you hang yourself and like your wife is very clearly like assaulted,
Yeah.
it is very clear what happened.
Right.
I mean, he was like trying to make it a double murder, look like a double murder.
Yeah. If both of you are attacked,
Right.
who is to say?
Right.
Yeah, I think he tried to make it look like a double murder.
Yeah.
I also am really curious why it came back to Peck.
Well, at that point, he still had family there, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And Peck was incorporated as a village in 1903. So
Very
that
nice.
probably pretty
Like,
attractive.
let's see
for
what
him.
this is all about.
Yeah. Oh, they have their own
They
unit
prob-
of government?
Right.
I should check that out.
They probably had like a ceremony to celebrate the fact that he was found innocent.
I mean, the way the people of Peck supported him, they probably welcomed him back with
Oh, 100%,
open
and they
arms,
did.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that he was up to any, he was just coming back to see his family.
Yep.
Okay.
Coming back to see his family and to never set foot in Montana again.
Right.
We've been saying right at the same time a lot.
We're on the same page today.
Yeah.
We're in sync. We haven't recorded in a while, but it's just like riding a bike.
Yep.
Yep. And on that note, it's time to get off the bike.
Very nice. Segues are on point.
They always are. But on that note, that was Thumbing Through the Archives, another
Very-
episode of it.
Very good script.
Yes.
I love the ones about Peck. Could have used a little bit more Peck facts, but I'll make up for it with my
I was going to
upcoming
say,
script.
considering the fact that you technically faltered on Nick's question of what the name...
I guess I did go on like a 10-minute
Did kind of
tangent
hijack
about
a whole
Peck,
segment
yeah.
about what?
Okay.
That's
Not enough
that's
Peck
good.
stuff,
That's what
yeah.
we like.
Okay.
Like, no complaints, but also like...
Yeah.
You
I
can't.
get-
You
yeah.
cannot complain to me about the lack of Peck section when you contributed.
That's fair.
When
That's
you
fair.
contributed that.
Okay. Fair enough. But I mean, it is pretty cool. I mean, I know it didn't happen in Peck, but you've done two of, well, the Charles Lord episode is one of my favorites. This one's really good too, but the fact that there was two
Nationwide Peck man.
Yeah, I don't
things.
want to say popularity, but like two stories that were big enough
Notorious.
to make national news, and they had ties to Peck.
There's probably more.
Oh, 100%.
Yep.
And listeners, if you have any stories that you want us to cover, please let us know. Again, you can find us on social media, on Facebook at Thumbing Through the Archives. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube.
Sure.
Sure.
Kind of. Yeah.
Kind of. We're also, of course, on soundlikebroadcasting.com. But I'm Erica,
I'm Mike.
I'm Nick.
and that's Thumbing Through the Archives. Bye-bye.